Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Akello Dayan TV.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Mhm.
We just wanted to talk to you about counseling. Yeah.
Counseling. Do you mean couple counseling?
Yes, couple counseling. Couple counseling.
Mm.
Or your own counseling.
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when should you seek counseling?
Oh my goodness. When should you seek counseling? Yeah. So counseling is when you book a session with a counselor, a therapist, to unpack, the things that perhaps you feel you need to talk to in a safe space. So there are counselors out there, the therapists out there who can be able to work with you either as an individual regarding your relationship or also as a couple. So you can go for a counseling session as a couple, or also you can go as an individual still regarding your relationship matters.
Yes.
So when should you go for a counseling session? When should someone book a counseling session?
Well, you can book for a counseling session when you're feeling stuck.
Oh, stuck.
And you're stuck, like stalemate.
Yeah. And it can happen.
It can happen.
And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that.
Two people who are totally different, you don't always going to see things eye to eye or, be on the same page.
It's true. It's true. So maybe you've been having this challenge, this issue that's been recurring. One of you sees it as a problem, the other one doesn't. Or one of you sees it as a problem with the side A, the other one sees it as a problem with the side B. So how do you break the deadlock? You go to a third party, a neutral person. The good thing about a counselor is that a good counselor is neutral.
Doesn't know either of you.
Doesn't know either of you. He's not going to take personal bias.
Yes.
He's not going to take on also gender bias, like favoring the man over the woman or the woman over the man. So you're going to have a safe space where both of you can put your matters at the table. This is how I see things. This is how you see things. So what happens there? So when you two feel stuck, also perhaps when one or both of you are going through depression, it can happen. Sometimes you could be having a spouse who's behaving badly, not because they are on the wrong or they don't love you anymore. They could be simply going through depression.
Yeah.
And so it will be wonderful if you show support, like, hey love, can we just go see a counselor?
Especially when they're acting out of character.
Yes.
Like, this is totally out of character. This is not how he normally acts. Or how she, you never know. It could be it could be something. It could be nothing, or it could be something. But if it's caught early, if it's something, then it's a good thing.
So before you judge your spouse as being bad or as being whatever, indifferent, check. Because when people are going through depression, they are off character. They don't act themselves. They are aloof. Some of them also cry in the form of addictions. They run to some form of addiction, whether it is drinking, whether it is gambling, whether it is whatever. That could be going through some issue over there. And so perhaps instead of you judging them, why don't you go for a counseling session where understanding can be brought to the fore and you two can talk about these matters.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also it is important to go for counseling when you two are about to enter into a huge milestone. If you're a dating or a courting couple, go for premarital counseling.
Yes. Yeah.
Go for premarital counseling, so that now you don't enter into marriage as if you know it all. A counseling session will help you understand that, oh my goodness, I'm able to understand my partner better before we start this marriage.
Before we start this work.
Let us tell you, so many married people who did not do premarital counseling, in their marriage they say, we wish we did that.
We wish we did.
Because if we did, we would have avoided so many problems, so many hurdles. And sometimes the next milestone you could be going into, maybe perhaps it's a milestone of sickness. Like maybe one of you has just been diagnosed with something, and so how do you cope with it as the one who's sick and as the one who's caring for the sick?
Yes.
Even parenthood could be another milestone.
Yeah.
You know, and
sometimes you might not know how to parent teenagers.
Yeah.
You know, or even you could be a new mother, and you just don't know how to navigate that, and things are overwhelming.
Yes. Or a new father.
Yeah.
How do you show support to to the mother of your child or your mother of your children, so that you're not that father who feels like, oh, as long as I pay for the rent and buy these things, that's no, fatherhood is more than that. So how do you two get prepared for something like that? Or perhaps maybe your child is differently abled. You know, your child is differently abled, and this can get overwhelming, especially when you're not adequately prepared for that. What about traumatic experiences such as death?
Yeah, well, absolutely. You know, death can be life-changing for some people.
Yes.
You know, so you lose a parent, or you lose a child, you lose a sibling. You know, it's huge, and it can affect you. So
yes.
Yeah.
And whatever affects you ends up affecting your spouse. You know, so if you grieve wrongly, then your spouse ends up, receiving.
Wait, I don't think there's anything such as
grieving wrongly. let me explain. Unhealthy healing.
Explain.
Where you actually don't deal with the matter, because some people they don't accept the death of a loved one, and some people also, because they're not grieving. Perhaps you've lost a child, and you have not addressed that loss in a healthy way. Then you end up becoming mad at the world. You end up becoming tough. You end up becoming very spiteful, and then your spouse is wondering, what is wrong? We are in this together. I'm on your side. Why are you pushing me away? Because sometimes whenever you deal with the death of a loved one, sometimes you can push people away. So your spouse is wondering, I want to be there for you, but you're shutting me out. And then you're sinking into this hole where every single thing doesn't make sense. You don't go to work, you don't bath, you don't do anything, you don't do nothing.
No.
Even your children don't even care for them.
Yeah.
And then your spouse is wondering, like, what's going on? What's going on? We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. And you could, maybe perhaps one of you has lost a job, and that can also be very hurtful.
That's
retrenchment, or something like that, losing a job, or an accident. Maybe you're involved in a car accident, and so you'll be incapacitated maybe for some years or for a lifetime. How will you cope with that?
Yeah, you can right now we're just focusing on the negative, but you can come to counseling for some good things as well, like a raise, how to handle, a new workload. How do I navigate, long hours, all those things. It doesn't always have to be death or depression or things like that. And you can also just come to talk. If you feel, I just need to talk to somebody. Counseling, seek counseling.
Seek counseling. And sometimes we have this thing that we call love check. A love check is just when you go for counseling, to just see the health of the relationship. Where are we at?
What's the temperature of
our life? What's the temperature of our life? And sometimes also you just want to go there and touch base. Let's tell you this. Sometimes it feels good talking about your relationship.
Yes.
And imagine you just go for a counseling session just to talk about your relationship. Like I want to love my spouse better. I want to love my partner better. And in a counseling session, a good counseling session will help you appreciate each other better. Yes. Like you talk over there, you're like, actually, I really, really love you. Actually, I really, really thank God for you. Actually, we've really, really come a long way.
Yeah.
And counseling can end up, just reigniting that spark, reaffirming that love, deepening those roots.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to wait until a calamity, until a disaster happens for you to go for a counseling session.
I was about to say that. You don't always have to wait until something bad happens.
Yes.
Sometimes you can just, maybe when you spot a crack and you're like, I wonder what this is. Deal with it there and then. So that it doesn't now become something humongous. Even sometimes, even when you're okay, just to keep the marriage or relationship okay, it's good to seek counseling and just,
It is. Just like, doctors advise you go for a medical checkup. not because you're sick.
Not sometimes you don't need it.
Yeah, just because,
but you
just to
go
see, are you
because
okay? Are you good? What, how can we improve on something? If your iron levels are a bit short, how can we boost up your iron levels? How can you boost up your vitamins and stuff like that? So that's healthy for your body. A counseling session is healthy for your marriage. It's healthy for your relationship because you're able to monitor growth. You're able to monitor where to put more work in, what to improve on, and things like that. And then also the thing is this: who's talking about your relationship? Who's talking about your marriage? A counseling session offers a space where you can literally, where the agenda is your relationship, your marriage, like you do. Who get, people are gossiping about your marriage. People are saying all this stuff about your marriage, but you're the best people to talk about your relationship, your marriage. And a counseling session allows you to just talk. So both of you share your opinions, share your thoughts, share your perspectives, share your areas where, because sometimes your partner could be seeing an area that you two need to improve, but you're not seeing it. You have your blind spots. And then your partner will be like, hey, over here, hey, darling, I think over here, we are great parents, but hey, when it comes to being spouses, hey, there we need to work a little bit. So a counseling session offers an opportunity for you to nourish and nurture your relationship. Again, who's talking about your relationship? Who's talking about your marriage? It better be you two. It better be you two.
It better be you too. Let's normalize counseling.
Yes.
Counseling, let's stop the stigmas. As counseling doesn't mean that you're going off the rails or something's wrong with your mental health. No. Counseling actually prevents that.
Yes. We all need to talk.
We all need to talk.
We all need to talk.
We all need to share.
And sometimes you can get to the point whereby you can be each other's counselor. Where you can even look at your spouse and sometimes tell your spouse, you know what, let's talk. Let's talk. Open up. Open up to me. Like, let me hear you out. Let me hear you out. And because there's the counseling session where you book a professional to go for counseling, and then you can also be each other's confidant, each other's counselor. Let me hear you out. Vent on me. Come for debriefing. Come for debriefing. Let me hear you out. Let me be a shoulder to lean on. Because blessed are you when you have that person who's ready to hear you out at home, and it's free of charge.
Yes. That's always a blessing.
Yes, that's always a blessing. Well, normalize counseling, embrace counseling, use it as a tool to better your relationship, your marriage. And we wish you what?
The best of love. As always.
Of love.
The bestest.
Absolutely.
See you next time.
See you.